Austin Powers, international man of mystery, was frozen in 1967.
Star Wars ripoff previously on narrow reading's position. Except also Star Wars at least had the decency to know you don't need both the reading and the narration. Pick a trope movie, capitalizing 90s as if it were a title to something worth recognition.
What the? Oh my gentle Jesus.
Being in the openness of space and letting something this gigantic sneak up on you.
Do you smoke after sex?
I don't know, baby. I never looked.
Thinking you'd have to spot it visually to know your groin is on fire. I mean, the smell alone should be a giveaway. Also, she should know this because they've absolutely shagged before.
I've never felt better, Austin.
Movie needs to reset the pieces so they completely nuke the entire romantic plot of the first movie by making the woman a fembot cliche.
I don't know what you mean, Austin. I'm the same as the next.
Why would the hotel remote control work on a fembot? And more importantly, who left the cake uncovered for the entire night?
Tu imaginación está jugando contigo.
Having to watch this movie to finally understand what this button on the remote is for. Vanessa's body is suddenly covered in sweat, and it's distracting because there's no explanation as to why the robot is suddenly in perspiration overload. Although still sinful, attending the Stormtrooper school of aiming boobs at things is something I want to fully and properly support. Austin's nuts, butt hair, nut hair, glasses, teeth, eyes, and this bottle survived this.
That means I'm single again. Oh, behave!
Confusing single for allowed to parade my dingle. Also, the sheer amount of spit coming from this man in this scene and many to follow. But why is she holding her compact so she can see the camera behind her instead of her own face? Adding two mini-me's, which is too many mini-me's.
Tell us about your father.
Somehow dragging Jerry Springer down a level. Also, this entire Springer bit will be seen on a low-quality 4:3 CRT screen. If I wanted to watch a movie like this, I could just drive over to Uncle Steve's and crack open the second drawer on the entertainment center for some old VHSs. Not the third drawer, though. Don't ever open the third drawer. This scene, Springer fights on for all the some time. Franchise continues to pad its runtime with pointless psychedelic dance breaks to give the illusion that it's a feature-length film.
Vanessa was a fembot.
Yes, we knew all along, sadly.
I would think that Austin's discovery that his ally knew he was in imminent danger with his wife would have brought their relationship into question. At the very least, Austin should trust Basil less and less. But no, it's fine. Accomplice to attempted murder is totally groovy in Austin's book.
One of the models works for Dr. Evil.
That's it. That's the mission. Go take pics of a model you know is dangerous. That's all this movie needs. In case you confused it with Austin's pad tie.
Burrow! Burrow!
Cincinnati Bengals fans.
Right, that's a wrap, everyone.
And then suddenly Ivana has a not even just lit, definitely has been smoked at least 2 long drag cigarette.
To my right is my lover. We met at the LPGA tour. Her name is Yona Brau.
You see, it's funny because she's a female golfer, so she must be gay, and she doesn't conform to beauty standards and has a name that indicates her hilarious atypical feature. Comedy! During this entire scene, the barista's stock and clean, a mini Starbucks setup, and it is insanely distracting.
Austin Powers always defeats me because he has mojo.
Mojo?
Mojo.
Jumbo Mojo Convo is loco in the so-so info slow-mo's tempo.
Why not just go back and kill Austin Powers when he's sitting on the crapper or something?
Scott would be excellent.
Why not use your knowledge of the future to play the stock market?
I mean, number 2 would be excellent.
$1 trillion is more than $1 billion, numbnuts.
Damn it, movie. Would you give me just a second to shoot my shot before you continue being excellent at...
All right, zip it.
Fine, you.
Not turned on, I suppose.
Metaphor for my first time with my college ex-girlfriend somehow makes it into the script.
Come, Mini-Me!
Let it be known that it was only on Dr. Evil's second attempt to go back in time that he decided to bring along Mini-Me. It's almost like the movie knew that nothing would happen the first time.
Welcome to 1969.
But how did number 2 in 1969 know how to build this era's time machine receiver? I'm sure this will be the only time travel inconsistency in this otherwise science-based docufilm, so I had to bring it up. Is this little nub supposed to be the thumb on this volcano sculpture? Why is it so deformed? Stupid AI. Get your hand together, Skynet.
It takes a keen intellect to play chess, Mr. Powers.
It does not. It might take a keen intellect to win at high-level chess, but I've seen many idiots play.
I assume you know how to play.
Of course, baby.
Look, I know this is all just an excuse for some oral fixation humor, but we obviously missed a couple moves here. Ivana already has 2 pawns out, and though Austin grabs his knight from behind his pawns, when we cut back, he's attacking her pawn from a different position. And yes, I understand that sometimes attacking her pawn from a different position can be mutually satisfying. Damn it, movie, now you're making me do the innuendo. Also, it's extremely distracting to see the marks along the chess pieces that show where the plastic was molded. Could the movie not afford some marble pieces that were smooth and at the very least beautiful to look at? This set came from the game shelf in a grandparent's hallway closet, and I can smell the mold, choosing to ingest whatever bacteria live on the pawn. A true man of mystery, Austin has shot the piece out of his mouth on a downward trajectory, and yet it picks up speed and travels upwards to smash a vase. Truly remarkable.
Ah, but this time we have an operative inside the Ministry of Defense.
But how? I'm not sure you actually needed to go back in time if everything was already set there before you even arrived.
He weighs a metric ton. His name? Fat Bastard.
There isn't a group of scientists constantly badgering this man to discover how his body has co-opted quantum physics to be dense enough to weigh 2,200 pounds in this amount of volume. Admittedly, I know nothing about the Ministry of Defense, but why is the entire team Scottish? Was it Scottish Day at the Cryo Chamber Quadrant? Or did the secret operative manage to join the MOD ranks and convince a Scot squad to volunteer for cryo duty? This actor's refusal to go full method with his underkilt attire. Sure, it would have changed the movie's MPAA rating, but does true integrity have a price?
Dr. Evil has developed a time machine and has traveled back to the year 1969. Luckily, we too have developed a time travel device.
Of course you have. Destination is just a year. The movie doesn't care what day or hour or second, just 1969.
I suggest you don't worry about this sort of thing and just enjoy yourself. That goes for you all, too.
I may have already mentioned this, but you, movie. Also, what's even more strange about this is that Austin doesn't even ask a question that involves any kind of paradox. He simply asks about visiting his frozen self in 1969 and then doesn't understand how he could have been thawed in the 90s. It's simple. Even as he's traveling in time, he's still on a linear path through his own personal travels. The him in 1967 can still be thawed in the 90s and become the person who goes back in time later in his life. If you're going to hang a lantern on your lack of concern about time travel paradoxes, at least hang it on a part that actually includes one.
Swinging 60s, here I come, baby, yeah!
Why choose to shoot this shot with a glaring window reflection on the windshield that blocks most of the main character's face? Do better. I want to point out that Austin's driving ability has been questionable from the start, and the MOD's decision to outfit him with a vehicle that can shoot through time is a horrific misuse of funds. I guess the idea is that everyone at this party in 1969 is so drugged out that the arrival of a car through a wall and a flash of light wasn't really odd enough to cause them to pause and wonder if perhaps that was enough psychedelics for one night. I see this as a movie where time travel automatically shifts your image to match what was happening in your new time. I mean, it didn't do that for Dr. Evil when he came through the portal, but I guess since this car is a different timey-wimey bullshit device, we can't really be too upset about that. But what about the car? It hasn't reverted to a sort of Herbie the Love Bug-esque exterior to mask its futuristic qualities, so what are the rules? This asshole extra that went from the wall here to back here. You got your shot, no need to be so extra. Oh hey, that has a double meaning.
Austin Powers!
They are at his pad. How are they surprised to see him there? And if his presence is a surprise, how did they get in there? This is not the proper shape or location of the human heart, though the exterior white flares are surprisingly biologically accurate.
Hey, get your hands off my hiney, baby.
Forcing your product placement on an unsuspecting audience without consent. The scene does not contain roller skates. Austin sure does seem to be the center of sexual attention at this party for someone who recently lost his mojo. Attempting to redefine a cock block by means of a muff cuff.
Use the machine gun!
Austin returns to a raging house party complete with an active assassination attempt, as if he's not been missing for 2 years.
The ball will kill us both, Powers!
It doesn't. Yes, I know this is a silly Looney Tunes type nonsense movie. I just meant I truly want them both dead. The amount of work the eyelash glue is doing in this scene.
You know what's remarkable? Is how much England looks in no way like Southern California.
Honestly, until you mentioned it, I hadn't even thought of it. This is what happens when you get too self-conscious about your sins, movies. It's like getting to the pearly gates and telling Peter, so let me explain the thing with the llama and the road cones, before you even know what the entry system is.
Why did you tell us?
I can't stand to be asked the same question 3 times.
Okay, sure. Tri-query syndrome. It's a known medical condition and all, but why answer that you have the disease after only being asked once?
The second question was, do I really have to ask you 2 more times? So that would be the first question in a new line of questioning.
Pedantic assholes who can't just let ridiculous fun be ridiculous fun. Flipping off the person you have gone to elaborate length to make sure doesn't see you.
The bone has gone through the skin. I fear it might be gangrenous.
Gangrene takes at least 2 to 4 days to set in, no matter how hilarious the bit you're doing is.
The wound is beginning to smell a little like almond.
When this movie was released, a search for why does my wound smell like almonds wasn't really possible. Now it is, and I have regrets.
I got a crap on deck that could choke a donkey.
I feel like this character primarily exists so Myers can do some more of his Scottish dad character from So I Married an Axe Murderer. And the sin is that more of you have seen this movie than that 90s classic. Get an education, children! squatting like this after spending several minutes telling us how on the verge of evacuation you are.
Get in my belly!
Being the #1 selection in the AFI's 100 Years, 100 Overused Movie Quotes said so many times that we're now not sure they were even funny in the first place list.
I have his mojo.
Why does Austin's mojo have noodles in it? This inefficient date board where you have to create entirely new inserts for every single day of every single year.
So, what happened here?
Does the movie think that we're stupid and need to be reminded of what happened 10 minutes ago? They showed us fat bastards stealing the mojo, Jeeves told Austin about it being stolen, and now here we are being told the mojo was stolen. Same information, new scene, padded runtime, and exposition living together, mass hysteria. See, it's funny because a man is wearing lingerie. Far too little screen time is given to this pair of extras whose only memorable addition is tall woman with small dog, short man with big dog, and yet that is now all I want to know about. This store that sells people named Paul. What? If it were the store owner's name, there would be an apostrophe there, no?
Everyone has a flying car. Entire meals come in pill form. And the Earth is ruled by damn dirty apes!
The original Planet of the Apes came out over a year before their current time, so the fact that Felicity doesn't get this reference is, at the very least, a movie literacy red flag. The most dangerous of all red flags!
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Burt Bacharach and Mr. Elvis Costello.
Elvis Costello looking this old at the age of 14. Bus arrives, cut to close-up, no bus. I love the simple sins.
You're quite good on your feet.
I'm even better off my feet.
Non sequitur bragging about how great a swimmer you are.
We promised each other it wouldn't get weird. I can't let my feelings...
Skip, baby! Needing zoom and enhance cliche glasses to discover this, instead of just spotting your obvious crotch hole when you were there in person earlier.
Is it me?
I can't explain.
Hang tight, all. This isn't technically the third act conflict cliche. It's more the character chooses not to simply say what's going on, forcing conflict cliche, nearing the third act. Still sinful, just not quite in the entirely predictable category.
Hello, Agent Shagwell. Where's Austin?
Bedside video calls that connect through before you even accept them. Trying to eat chicken by rubbing it all over your bare skin. Me questioning my life decisions now that it is left up to me to freeze frame the moment fat bastard rolls over just so I can point out to the world that there is a giant hose attached to his butt. I thought I was helping. Thought that my eye for detail was making the world a better place. But now I realize I am become death destroyer of worlds.
You're gonna squirt some? You're gonna cry?
People who confuse bullying for leadership. It appears to be a new day, but they are in the same clothes as the dance at the cafe scene, and the super tall extra with the Great Dane pupper is back on set. So this is now Groundhog Day?
No, left. Through here.
These over-eager military escorts spoiling where the tracker was before Felicity had decided which way to turn. This entirely random and useless open flame.
This is the location of Dr. Evil's lair.
We have to evaluate for lab samples to find a trace of vegetation to find the volcanic Lair island where Dr. Evil is hiding. But we also have a time machine and could probably just use that to cleverly deduce where a hidden something is. Or, go back in time and plant a homing device on Fat Bastard in a less invasive way. Or possibly go back in time and skip making this movie altogether.
It's a bit nutty.
Thinking I needed a visual reference for where the term shit-eating grin came from.
Jerry Maguire won't even come out for another 30 years.
Me not having a time machine so I can enjoy this fantasy world without Jerry Maguire.
Fire the laser! Damage report! Damage report!
Okay, that's funny, but I'm still sending him being able to convert a visual from a 90s movie to 1967 closed-circuit technology.
What if God was one of us?
The thing about pop culture references for pop culture references' sake is that you're betting they will continue to be relevant as the years pass by, and I'd bet you my Benson lunchbox you're going to be wrong occasionally. As a brief piano concert ensues, I'd like to point out that they are directly over lava, and this room is probably 1300 degrees Fahrenheit. No one is enjoying this concert.
Okay, I'll dig a little deeper.
The misinterpreted shadow stuff can be pretty funny, I guess, but who reads a map on all fours on the floor like that? The best humor comes from authenticity, Austin, and that's just not how most of us would choose to do our reading. Spies that set up camp and light it as if it were calling to Gondor for aid. The movie is now in the midst of a full parody of just the two of us, and you really do forget how much of this movie was just killing time to get to 90 minutes. That racket is moving completely in sync with Austin's body, so game, set, and match on your fake shadow play, suckers.
Felicity would never sleep with you.
While the movie digresses into what makes someone f***able, let's pause for a moment and consider that before Austin and Felicity were brought into the evil lair, they were given a change of clothing, and Felicity was forced to curl her hair, which is really stupid.
The thought of you naked is just gross.
Fat bastard shaming. You can see when Mini-Me takes this paper out that it already has the picture on it, and that the pen never touches the paper when he pretends to draw. And that's why this movie is unequivocally terrible, and anyone who likes it is also terrible.
I don't know, sir. but it looks like a giant dick.
Yeah.
This series of phallic puns is hilarious, but goes on entirely too long.
Look, Austin, we're running out of time.
Are you though? The width of a typical chair like this is 1.5 feet or about 18 inches. And since it covers about 6 of these metal rows, that means each of them should be around 3 inches apart, making the entire distance each half has to travel 3 times 30 or 90 inches. Mike Myers is about 68 inches tall, and a little under 1.5 mm to the middle feels about right for confirmation. Now, best we can tell, the floor is moving at least 2 inches per second, meaning it should be fully open in about 45 seconds. And yet, not only does this conversation take a full minute and a half, neither of them seems to be moving with the platform on any of the conversation shots, proving once and for all that the time-space continuum does not apply to rooms Heather Graham is in. Movie will never explain the important backstory of how Dr. Evil has an elaborate moon base in 1969 or who built it.
Apollo 11 is good to go.
But Apollo 11 famously didn't launch until July of 69, and this movie was happening in late May of 69. So is the movie suggesting that Austin waited a month and a half, that Apollo 11 defied physics and went early, or that logic can go f itself?
Airlock open.
Designing your moon base doors to open like the doors at the Piggly Wiggly.
Poor little bugger. He's so small.
And yet you've been failing to subdue him for the last 2.5 minutes, and will take another minute and a half to finally dispose of him because funny. Odd that the London Times would have a weather pattern for the United States.
Don't worry about me, Austin!
He doesn't have to. The gas is completely gone from the chamber in a second, so no worries. I'm sure we are all glad Frau made it to the moon, but every other character had to make a big deal to get here. So what did she do? Take the tube?
Who are you? I'm you 10 minutes from now.
This movie is so dumb it went full Avengers Endgame to get us to this point, and you'd never go full Avengers Endgame. Also, wild that this chat between Austin now and Austin 10 minutes from now doesn't delay them getting to Felicity, resulting in her dying again.
You defeated Dr. Evil, you saved the world, and believe me, you're gonna get the girl.
But considering it was only his inability to do the deed that seemed affected, those parts weren't exactly the parts that were the most impotent.
Felicity, why don't you come with me to 1999?
Probably because the other Austin already went through the portal set to 1999. So then there'd be 2 of you in that timeline. Probably that.
I've got more chins than a Chinese phone pick.
That's really overestimating the number of his chins, which I currently count to be 2.
Do you think I'll be happy here in the 90s?
She just presumably kicked a man in the balls so hard he died. That man is now deceased, starting the decompositional process on the floor at her feet. And she's thinking about her happiness in the 90s and not, at the very least, a human waste disposal plan? What sort of person is Felicity? Pressing the instant late 60s vibe check button when it clearly says not to. Do you want Beatles? Because that's how you get Beatles.
That looks just like my husband's.
One-eyed monster.
This bit somehow comes twice in 20 minutes. No one can pinpoint the exact moment this franchise lost its mojo, but I'm saying that including this boring, humorless Springer sketch follow-up in the end credits here might be worth further investigation as a primary suspect.
There's only one thing that smells like bitter almonds, other than bitter almonds.
You're a fembot.
I am the beginning, the end, the one who is many.
Singapore sound circles her prey.
Handsome Harry circles nervously, hoping to avoid yet another serious injury.
Several years ago, we invested in a small Seattle-based coffee company.
Maybe I'm wrong on this one, but for me, the beast doesn't include selling out.
You hungry? Something to eat? Not even a Hot Pocket? An Eggo?
I guess I'm just gonna have to enjoy this triple-decker Eggo extravaganza on my own.
Baby! The other white meat! Baby!
I know that babies taste best.
Get your hands off my hiney. And it's the choice of a new generation.
I think my legs might be broken.
'Tis but a scratch.
In 12 hours, I will destroy Washington, D.C. with this giant laser.
You will prefer another target, a military target? Then name the system.
The ambiguously gay duo. Tonight's episode. A hard one to swallow.
I got nukes out the yin-yang. Just let me launch one.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.